Hi everyone, welcome to episode 3. I'm Chloe Aanenson and I'm on a quest to learn how a building like Bridge Plaza gets designed and built. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm not on site today. Instead, we're going to do this episode through a video call. Let's get started. Hi Mark, how's it going?
Good morning, Chloe. It's going very well. How about you?
Pretty good. Just chilling at home, I guess.
Well, everybody's officing at home too, so it's good to get together with you here. So, Chloe, as we have progressed in our episodes with you, we're slowly starting to introduce all of the players that are involved in a project like this. But very important to Bridge Plaza is how the building sits on its site, and that it isn't just an abrupt transition from this vertical building that we've been talking about to the horizontal part of the project or the land. And that's an area that Ryan focuses on, working closely with the architectural portion of the project. So with that, Chloe, I'd like to introduce you to Ryan. Let you folks have a conversation about the work that he's been involved with on Bridge Plaza.
Hey Chloe, I'm Ryan. Nice to meet you.
Hi Ryan, nice to meet you too. So what does a landscape architect do?
Thanks for asking. Landscape architects, we really focus on the exterior of the site. And some things that I've had the pleasure of designing have been patios, courtyards, main entries to buildings, school campuses, and large public parks. And so since it's April, this is actually National Landscape Architecture Month. So we thought it would be good to talk to you about landscape architecture and specifically talking about Bridge Plaza. So let's dive in here. This first thing that I'm showing here is just the overall site plan, specifically focusing on the landscape design. And so you've probably seen plans similar to this that focus on the building. This plan here starts to really focus on just the planting layout on this first plan. It just starts to show where some of these planting beds might be.
Do you all use the same map like together, or do you have different types of maps for what you're doing?
So yeah, so we do work from different maps. We're all creating one map in the end, but the surveyors use what's called a geospatial planning, and so they're really taking coordinates that relate to coordinates on Earth, and they get to pinpoint exactly where some of those curbs, gutters, sidewalks, utilities are. And so they're creating a map for us to then draw on and start creating this map. So yeah, what you're looking at in this plan here is you'll start to see the existing road coming on, circulating around the exterior of the site here. Here's where the bridge starts to come across. And right here is the Bridge Plaza building that you are pretty familiar with at this point. And so where I started to focus on was really a lot of these landscape beds that you see here, kind of the big black bolded areas. And then I got to help out a bit with the patio area down here and some permeable pavers. So moving on, just a little more detail about, here's just some of those beds that we looked at in the middle of the parking lot. So really got to look at some of the plants that we might want to have and species that are native to this area. So we like to lay out these plants in different shapes, varieties, colors. And so as pedestrians and vehicles drive and circulate through the site, you get a different experience everywhere you go.
Like what kind, you said native, like what kind of plants are going to go in it?
No, that's a great question. So I do have, typically we'll put together just a quick planting palette board like this for our clients. And so here you can start to see a few of the plant varieties that we've put together. We have like butterfly weed, purple coneflower, these two areas here. I like to use a lot of these because they're pollinator plants, so they attract butterflies and bees, and the more projects that can place these pollinator plants in them, the less distance that some of those bees and pollinator species have to travel. All right, so in this rendering, I wanted to show you this angle here because a lot of sites we work on, cities have really nice zoning codes in place to shelter and screen the parking lot. And so as you're driving around the site here or walking along the exterior sidewalk, you don't just see a large sea of asphalt. You see a blanket of vegetation and greenery. Landscape architects really work closely with our civil engineers and our architects in order to make it one cohesive project. So in this image here, we have a few things that we're looking at. One of the things in the foreground you'll see here is a Carl Forester grass, which is just a drought-tolerant plant, which means drought-tolerant just means that it requires less water to survive. So we don't have to have an irrigation system on site, and it reduces our water consumption. So overall, being a little more greener, sustainable. Some of the other things you start to see, like I mentioned before, we have the patio or plaza here, and some of these are where we really like to dive in and look at permeable pavers. So a permeable paver is just a paver like you see down here, spread across the plaza, and with those gaps between the pavers, there's a certain sediment that we use, and it lets the water percolate down between those pavers and then filter naturally into our water table. So a couple other things on the site you'll see here are these bollards, we call them, these black columns right around here. What these are doing is they're stopping cars from being able to travel into that plaza area. One, protecting the pedestrians that are sitting in this patio area having some coffee, and also protecting the building. As a landscape architect, we like to try and get involved in making these look decorative, making these look as nice as possible for pedestrians as they're walking through the site. So while I have this image open, we wanted to just talk a little bit about three-dimensional renderings. This right here is a photorealistic rendering that we put together really to help communicate the design, the materials we chose, the plants we chose, really how the site is going to look, and give our clients a fully immersive experience. These photorealistic renderings really show you what the lighting will be like, exactly what those material colors would be like. And
Yeah, it just makes you visualize more, I feel like, because for me, like if I see something, then I'm like, okay, then I know what the final product is going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's fun to see the final product and then the animation. Yeah.
It's fun for both teams in the end too, because we design in a two-dimensional plane most of the time. It still doesn't beat actually seeing an image. We get to bring it to life and mold it in the way that we think it should look like, based on everything, all the feedback we've gotten and everything our client wants to see. Well, Chloe, thank you so much for joining us here. Not very many people know what landscape architecture is, so it's really cool to get to explain that, especially as somebody younger and just coming into the field. And I'm glad I got to explain a little bit of what landscape architecture is, and hope you found some of it interesting.
Yeah, I really did. Thank you for coming today. I learned lots. Thanks everyone for watching episode 3. Stay tuned for next month's episode as I continue to learn how an amazing project like this gets designed and built.